It is time now for Wall Street Beat. We take a look at what's buzzing on Wall Street in the world of banking and finance. And today we're taking a look at a very big number, Jamie Dimon's big payday. Sonali Basak joins us with more. Sonali, what'd you make the number?
Well, it was only a 4.3% rise in a year. Only
I mean, law of large numbers, but okay, sure.
If the boss is making more money, it always bodes well for everybody else, isn't it? So there is a little bit of optimism besides that number. And you have to remember, too, the $36 million package, which includes $1.5 million in base salary and $34.5 million in performance-based incentives. This compares with $34.5 million in total comp the year before. And last year, as we know, what was cited in the filing was Jamie Dimon's ability to navigate the regional banking turmoil, geopolitical uncertainties, and a year where they notched another year of record performance, as well as a 26% rise in their stock price. So you look at that jump, and you have to wonder, what's everyone else going to get?
Well, that is the big question that everybody's asking. Is this also a message from the board, from the Remuneration Committee? Don't go. Please don't go. Another 5 years. That would be great.
A year or so ago, a couple years ago, I guess now, they were awarded special bonuses at the top, special awards, rather, you'd call them. JPMorgan, a number of their peers also granted these awards to the top executives, the CEO, as well as the president. And that was definitely that moment, Guy, where you saw the board say, okay, not only do we recognize what you've done here, we want to have you stay here. And also, I took it as a concession, if you will, of just how much pay is rising outside of the banks on Wall Street. It is really hard these days to compete with, for example, private equity style pay or hedge fund style pay. And so, as we know, even at a lot of these banks, it's not always the case that the CEO is the most highly paid executive. Sometimes it's your star trader that is bringing in that haul. But certainly when it comes to Jamie Dimon, that question of how long he's going to stick around will always loom large at JPMorgan.
And he kind of likes it that way. So does this set us up for any pay for other big bank CEOs, or is Jamie Dimon on his own with this?
The reason I brought up those performance figures so high in this segment, if you will, is because you did see that massive jump in stock price as well as record performance. You did not see that massive jump in stock price at all of the other banks, which is usually taken into consideration here. And so you have to wonder whether others will be roughly flat to even lower in some cases, given that not everyone had such a stellar year. I would also point out that if you think about how far away from the pack JPMorgan is, you had them bring in 21% returns last year. 21%. Nobody brought in more than 20%. So they led the pack by at least 10 percentage points in many cases, if not 7 or so. So the other banks are looking at a lot less in terms of returns and certainly investor reception. So it's hard to see them getting this kind of increases.
Sonali, is it JPMorgan, all the other US major banks, and then European banks? Like, is that basically the scale in terms of what you can expect to be paid right now? Because that's certainly, the mood music over here is pretty bleak.
It's very bleak. And as you know, there are a lot of challenges that Europe is facing, let alone the economy. But yes, the bank executives themselves is one thing. Guy, another thing that you have to think about is, again, this sets the tone at the top. What about everybody else? What we're seeing a lot of these banks do is really hoard pay for their best performers. And then everybody else is going to end up with a tough season here. You have to remember that in some firms, it's not just a matter of it's a matter of business lines, right? Some businesses were very weak that they expect a rebound for, investment banking in particular being one of those things. They don't want to scrap everyone on pay, lose their best bankers, and then have the boutique banks, which are willing to pay a lot of money to bring these people on board, and compete in a year where things start to rebound. So it's a kind of a tough equation here, but you're right. The Europeans have definitely been in a tough place relative to the US banks.